and the job of everyone in Move to Prague is also to educate people. That's why I've done like over 500, almost 550 free videos on my YouTube. We do videos on Move to Prague social media. We'll be also introducing a new podcast podcast very soon. So stay tuned for that. And today's topic will be about that kind of educational content, because I've seen a lot of people, like the whole years we've been doing this for 13 years, there have always have been people asking questions on Facebook about immigration. But now I've recently seen some people to get into some serious troubles because of the advice, or potentially could people get into like very serious situations if they followed the advice that was given to them on Facebook. So I wanted to comment on that, wanted to go through that, and show you what to do instead, or tell you what to do instead. If you like, instead of asking on Facebook, what you can do which will work better. And also, if you want to ask questions on Facebook, how you can do it in a better way that it will bring you better results. So this is what we will cover in today's video, because some of the questions or answers to the questions people ask on Facebook, what I've seen, were like really confusing, potentially misleading, often very irrelevant. Like, of course, I'm not saying, or I'm not talking about the cases where people talk about something completely different, which happens on Facebook a lot as well. But it's also about the things that you cannot really compare, like one type of visa to another or one nationality to another. So often, even if the person means well, it's not really relevant to your case. And I've seen also some really bad advice, either like incorrect, like that the people were saying, okay, it's like this, but it is not like this, or like just a bad advice. Like imagine, okay, hey, I've been overstaying my visa, what should I do? And the answer would be like, go to the foreign police, apologize, and it will be all good. It will not be all good. If you're overstaying your visa, you go to the foreign police and you will apologize. They will deport you, ban you from coming back, and you're done. So there are some questions or some answers that can get you into serious trouble. So I want to help prevent this, give you some better options, either outside of Facebook, or if you want to do it on Facebook, how to do it in a better way, I would say. So let's dive into that and see first what works well, or what Facebook could potentially work well for. I would say that Facebook can be a great resource for to give you a general idea about something, some basic idea about some topics. So let's say I know nothing about Czech health insurance. Could you please give me some like basic information how it all works? Great, because it will give you some ideas. You might understand it a bit better, or more likely it will point you into some direction, which is great, because if it's your like very first try to get some information about some topics, that's great. If there is no time pressure, if there is no like pressure of you being in the process and like being almost deported or something like that, that's great. Okay. And also the other situation maybe when Facebook can be helpful, even though I couldn't think of any of like real examples I could share, but like if you want to hear like people's opinions or people's experiences, I don't know, you maybe want to compare how your process went compared to some other people, and you just want to get the idea how the Czech immigration processes work, that could potentially be also good. But one thing you need to keep in mind is that what you hear on Facebook or what you read on Facebook is not a reality. It's opinions and experiences of people. And experience of one people with one specific thing can be as far from the reality as possible. Because of course it can represent like, okay, this is how it works for 80% of people. But it can be also like, okay, sorry, this is just how it works for you specifically and no one else. So like what you get from Facebook is just people's opinions and people's experiences, which can help, can be relatable to you, but also might not be exactly. So this is something you always need to keep in mind, and that's why it's great if you just want to get some basic idea about some topic and maybe you want to get pointed into some direction, great. But I don't see there much more into that. So what Facebook does not really work well for, that would be some specific questions. If you have like a specific questions about your case, like, okay, I'm in this situation, what should I do? Or if it's something somehow complicated or specific and complicated that can be both like combined, that's also not really a good source. Because on Facebook, 99.99999% of people there they have nothing to do with immigration. They maybe have been through the process on their own, like once or twice or whatever, but they have no experience, they have no education in that, they have no training in there. So whatever advice they give, it's something maybe they heard somewhere, maybe they read it somewhere, maybe they went through the process. They might even mean well, but it doesn't mean that it's correct and that you should listen to that. So complicated questions, specific questions about your case. So not like a general, okay, how the health insurance system works, but okay, I have got this health insurance card from VZP and it says this, what should I do? That's kind of very specific, and I would probably not ask these questions there, or I will tell you how to ask them in a bit. And definitely not questions like which might be potentially life-changing for you, meaning you can get deported, you can have your visa denied, you can like be banned, you can get fined, like some very important questions, which I also see sometimes on Facebook, like I'm about to be deported, what should I do? Like the fuck, you should contact an immigration lawyer and not ask this question on Facebook. Like, how do you want people on Facebook to help you, like if you're getting deported? Or similarly with other, like my visa got denied, what should I do? What should I write to the ministry? Like, why to ask these kind of questions on Facebook? Okay, so we'll get there. It's just some couple examples with what like specific questions or complicated or life-changing, what I mean by that. But the thing is, a super important thing to understand is that the immigration process has some rules and has some like documents you need, has some structure. So if you've been in the system, I for example have been doing this for 13 years. So I understand kind of how the system works and like what the ministry wants to see, what is their opinions, what kind of, there is always a bigger picture as well. It's never about your like specific application. It is, but your specific application only reflects like the general situation happening, like how Czech Republic wants to approach immigration, and that changes in time as well. And like what countries are problematic, for example, because the ministry sees all the applications. You see only yours or maybe your friends, maybe like, so 3 applications, but there are like over a million foreigners in the Czech Republic. And if you like time it by 35 years or how long the Czech Republic has been alive, then it's a lot of applications, and the ministry sees the whole thing. So for some nationalities, the rules, even though the rules are same on paper in the law, how the ministry behaves is completely different, like very completely. Like if you're an American and if you're Kenyan, you cannot even compare that. Even if you apply for a student visa, both of you, same university, same like program, it will be completely different just because of this. So that's one thing. There are plenty of different things, like plenty of different like influences as well, like seasons, like how long it takes to get a visa approved. It very much depends on the season as well. On the embassy where you applied for the visa or whatever you applied for. It also, still, the Czech immigration decisions are very much subjective. So what I mean by that is that if you submit your application and it gets to this decision maker, they might make a very different decision or make your process like way more complicated or easier than if it went to another decision maker. Because again, there are some rules, some structure to the system, but the decision makers can kind of like navigate through the rules differently. So that's also super important to understand that the people that reply to you on Facebook might be in a completely different situation, and then their advice or like their opinion or their experience might not be at all relevant to you. So now what you can do instead. Of course, the best, which I really think so. Of course, it will sound like, and it is kind of self-promotion, of course, that's part of that. But I really think so as well, that you should ideally consult with a professional, not Facebook. So professional, of course, if you consult with me or Move to Prague in general, we'll be happy. But you necessarily don't need to consult with us, just consult with a professional. There are plenty of, not plenty, but there are some good advisors, there are some good lawyers, and there are also some free places where you can go, provided by NGOs. There are some other problems with that, but if you cannot really afford to have a paid consultation, you can go to places where you get a free advice. And the people there might know what they're talking about. So definitely that's better than asking random people who have no experience, no training, anything on Facebook. One thing I want to mention here, that even though it doesn't need to be us, definitely I would not recommend going for kind of new companies that appear on the market every year. We've been doing this for 13 years. So we've seen it. Every year, basically, there are like 5 new immigration agencies popping up every year saying we are the best and everything. But in reality, this is usually not companies. It's usually like one person who went through the immigration process themselves and now they think that they can give advice. Sometimes it's also in combination, like we have a Czech person in our team, so we're super good. That you went through one process does not really make you qualified to give advice to other people, and that you are Czech and or speak Czech does not make you an immigration specialist either. That can make it easier for you to learn. It can make it easier for you to navigate the system and speak with people, all that, but it doesn't make you an expert. And the thing is that nowadays I don't say it in a totally bad way. We started in the same way with Daria when we we started getting first clients like 13 years ago. But what we were doing was that we were completely open, saying like, hey, we don't know what we're doing. So we can fuck up your visa completely. That's why you pay that little. And do you want to risk it or not? But now that it's super easy to like build a great looking website, now all these companies that appear have great websites saying they have 7 million years of experience combined and that they have 7 trillion like approved applications from all the different, like from 700 different nationalities, all that. That's bullshit, obviously. You've just opened. You cannot have like 3,000 clients if you just open. And then if you like go for advice for someone like that, and especially if they're honest with you, great, that's fine. But if they like pretend that they know everything, that they've done all these cases, and in real they've done 2, including one of themselves, it's not that far from the Facebook advice. So even when I'm saying that you should go consult with someone, you should choose with whom. Again, not necessarily us, even though we'll be happy, but there are other agencies, other lawyers that are good. Potentially even some of the NGOs might provide good advice, but you need to be selective in this. Second thing is, often I see that people on Facebook, when they post their like replies to the question, they say check this official website of the Ministry of the Interior, which is in a way better. Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely better if you get the official answer from the official sources instead of like anything of this nature is better than asking people on Facebook, in my opinion. So even if you go to the website of the Ministry of the Interior, the integrated portal for foreigners, that's great. The slight problem with that is that it's kind of like if you have a stomach ache and someone tells you, read this book on stomach ache. This is like a doctor's book, read it. Of course, yeah, the information is there somewhere, what's happening with your stomach and why it's hurting. The question is, if you are really in the situation that you want to go through like the 300 pages book to kind of try to understand what everything can be involved in the pain and then trying to figure it out on your own. Again, that might be great if you are in the initial phase and or you don't mind learning about these things yourself and you're maybe kind of interested in that. Like you wanna know how it works. And you have the time, there is no pressure like you being deported, or there is no time pressure that you need to deliver something to the ministry within 30 days or something. That's great. But if it's something like that's very important, again, very specific question, or if there is some deadline, this does not really help much because there are plenty of different exceptions. So you can read one thing and think, okay, this is it. But you might have missed like 3,000 different, like, okay, not exaggerated now. So like 10 different like exceptions that do not really apply in your case because you are in slightly different situation than what is described here. So it's definitely better than asking on Facebook to get an official information from an official website. It just works in some cases only, I would say. Similarly, with calling the MOI info line. It's been there for years, like just the first couple years, they didn't speak English. So it was a line meant for foreigners to ask questions about their visa status, and they didn't speak English at all. So, well, that's how it was. Now they actually speak English, so you can call them and ask your questions. Again, this is way better than asking on Facebook. Because at least the people on the line had to go through some training. I'm not saying they're all good, not everyone. I hope they will not hate me now. There are some great people on the line and they can provide great advice. There are some new people that are just being trained and they can provide slightly worse advice. But they at least have some training. They've been through that. They maybe studied something similar and that's why they ended up at the ministry, or why they chose the ministry to work at. And they go through regular trainings before they can go to the line to answer your questions. They need to go through immigration training, so they definitely know. Even if they are bad on the line, they definitely are way better trained than anyone on Facebook or most people on Facebook. So even if you call the ministry and like they are not exactly sure or whatever, then it's still better than getting like answer from a random person on Facebook. Another thing though is that the official like approach of the line is that the advice they give is not like legally binding. So they don't, if they give you an advice, they don't really, they don't take any responsibility for how you use the advice or if it was correct or incorrect, which is kind of understandable, because another thing is that you need to be able to articulate exactly what is the problem. So again, it works better for some general advice. If you want to find out, okay, so what kind of documents do I need for this? That's great to go to the ministry website or maybe call the line, because they will be able to tell you. But then if you're looking for some specific answer, like, hey, I'm in this situation, I'm from this country, blah, 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 to get a good advice, you need to be able to provide good information. And that's what is the biggest problem, in my opinion, when people ask for answers and for advice. And I will get to it in the last section of the video today. So even if there is a super trained person and the ministry and you give them bad information or incorrect or insufficient, incomplete information about your case, they can still provide incorrect advice because they just didn't have all the information. So yeah, that's one thing. Maybe one example I would like to provide as well is when people ask, that's kind of, I've seen it recently as well, where people ask about changing employers. And there are so many rules. If you have the standard employee card, the dual employee card, there are so many rules you need to follow that if you miss one of those rules, you can really end up deported. Your employee card will be canceled because, for example, you only have 60 days you can be without a job, but then, and within the 60 days, you need to report the change of employer. But there are other rules, like you need to, for example, report the change 30 days in advance, and you need to have some documents for that. So if you're getting, for example, towards the end of the 60 days, you report the change of employer, but you made some mistake in the documents or you send it too late or whatever, then they will not approve your change of employer. But at that time when they tell you, you will be past your 60 days and there is nothing you can do about it because you've missed the deadline and the employee card will be canceled and you will be starting over. You will have to go, depending on the nationality, but you might need to go back to your home country and apply again, which might take another year, and you're screwed just because you listen to someone on Facebook. So, and this is like that can really happen. That's not just some like imaginary scenario I've just like used for these purposes, but this is like a real life situations that happens. So yeah. But now let's say if you don't want to go to a lawyer, you don't want to go to a consultant or to advisor, or even to the NGOs where it's for free. You might have your reasons. I don't know which reasons, but you might have yours. So if you want to still ask questions on Facebook, how you should do it so you get most of it, okay? One advice I would give you is that first try to ask in nationality specific groups. There are plenty of different groups on Facebook based on nationalities. So it's like British in the Czech Republic, Americans in the Czech Republic, Indians in the Czech Republic, Filipino in the Czech Republic. There are groups where people of the same nationality like mingle. I don't want to say mingle, like where people of the same nationality are. And it's way better than asking just in the general group expats in the Czech Republic or whatever, because at least you have higher chances that if it's the same nationality as you have, the experience they have or the advice they have might be more relevant to what you're asking, because you at least have the same nationality where the same rules apply in general. Of course, if they have experience like 3 years ago, now it might be completely different for you, so that experience might not be completely transferable, but it's more transferable from Filipino to Filipino than from if you get advice from Filipino and you are a US citizen, for example. That's not really that much transferable because there are completely different rules for different nationalities. So like nationality specific groups, definitely a good place to start. Then second tip here would be being specific or be specific. Because if you say, I also see it, like I understand that you don't realize that if you're first time applying for a visa, or if you just like go to Facebook, you have something in mind, but you are exactly not sure. But I see questions like, how long will my visa take to get approved? Might sound as a normal question to you, but for me, are you asking about a short-term visa? Are you asking about a long-term visa? Are you asking, maybe you say visa, but you mean a residence permit? What kind of residence permit? What is the purpose of your stay? What embassy did you apply at? These all factors have influence on how long it will take to get your visa approved. And there are some other factors which can influence it, and it's like random. But like if you have different nationality, you apply at different embassy, you apply for a different type of visa, or residence permit, or a short-term visa, long-term visa, there will be super significant differences in how long it will take to get your visa approved. So a general question like how long will my visa take to get approved, no one can reasonably answer it because it's not enough specific. Also, so definitely I would always mention your nationality, where are you from, because that's super important and that's like the basics. Like really, even though the law is the same for everyone, in real life there are huge, big differences between like nationalities. So definitely your nationality is like must have in there. So I am an American, I am an Indian, blah, 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 I'm a Filipino, I am a British, and continue. Definitely one first thing. Second, what kind of visa you are or residence permit you are asking about. And again, be specific, because a lot of people on my live streams or on Facebook, I see it as well, they just say, hey, I have a work permit. Work permit, it's not like, it's not an official thing in the Czech Republic or in the Czech immigration. What do you mean by work permit? Do you mean like employment contract? Do you mean a permission to work given to you by the labor office? Do you mean an employee card? Do you mean like something else, like free access to the Czech labor market? What do you mean exactly by work permit? So you need to be also very like specific. You need to use the correct terminology if you can. Of course, if you don't know what kind of visa you have, questionable, but okay, so then just like don't mention that. But ideally, be as specific and be as like you use the terminology as is given by the law, as is given by the Ministry of the Interior. Because if you say I have a long-term visa, better than if you say I have a visa, but still we are not sure if you have a student visa, if you have a business visa, if you have family reunification visa, whatever else you can have. So nationality, type of visa, terminology, and the better you explain your situation, the more specific you are, the better advice you can get. If you're already in the need of asking on Facebook. Second advice, or third advice actually now, would be verify the information you get. Don't just blindly trust people. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, I've seen some really, really bad advice that could completely like fuck up your like whatever, your life here, your tries to get the visa or get some decision or whatever, because that can be some like really bad advice. So whatever advice you get, verify it. Verify it with the ministry website, verify it with the info line, verify it maybe in the law, or back like verify it with a free advice or whatever, like immigration advice somewhere. But verify it. Don't just think that people on Facebook know. And last thing, that should be obvious, but think critically about the information you get. Because again, as I mentioned in the beginning, what you get from Facebook is people's opinions and people's experience. It's rarely facts or like the truth, how it works. It's just experience and opinions, 99%. So keep this in mind and say, okay, so this person from where they are from? So does it relate to me? Are they the same nationality or they are a different nationality? If they are a different nationality, you can still like go through the advice, but keep this in mind. Okay, so they're from a different country. Maybe the processes are a bit different for them than for me. Then like, how long ago did the person have this experience? Because again, everything changes in time, and especially in immigration, there are now things that are happening, for example, to family reunification visas that were not happening just a couple months ago. And if you missed that, then those are like very significant differences now. People are getting denied for some specific reasons, which were not the case like just a couple months ago, really. So how long ago it was when this person went through their experience, when they went through the visa process? That's super important. And now, okay, if it was 5 years ago, okay, that probably will no longer apply, and specifically not to my situation. If it was last month, okay, that might be very close, because now we might be very similar, in a very similar situation, at least like time wise. Yeah, so just think about it critically, maybe get all the inputs, but keep in mind it's just opinions and experiences. That's not the truth. That's not like the fact. It's just something you can like consider, but it's definitely not like the truth or the only way it works. Whew. So this is it. That was a long live stream, half an hour. So let me see. I'll see if there are some questions about this. I will not be answering now questions about like everything, just related to this topic. So like Facebook questions or stuff like that. I will do another open Q&As live stream soon, so you can ask the questions there. But let me see if there is something Warehouse work in Czech Republic, how can I get genuine agency? Okay. Я тебя не понимаю. Это что? Это потому что я разговариваю на чешском, не на русском. My Slovakia Schengen application has small spelling mistake. Okay. I've been watching some of your videos. Much for the videos. May I know whether I can bring spouse? Of course. PhD. Zdraví. Jeremia Ashwa. This is my workplace. Verify paper. Hello. Have been waiting for family reunification for over a year. La la la. I'm from Nepal. Applied for family reunification. How do you know? Okay, guys, so those were questions that are not really relevant to the topic of Facebook advice. But of course, if you have any questions or if you need any help, like there was a family reunification visa going on for 1 year, there were some other questions. So get in touch if you go to the main page of my Facebook page. I suck at this terminology. But if you go to the main bio or whatever, there is a link to like a form which you can fill in, describe your situation, and follow the rules I mentioned today. So be specific, mention your nationality, mention exactly the type of visa, all the details that might be important, and then we'll be happy to advise you, or we can set up a call, we can set up a meet, and we'll be happy to help. So thank you guys for being here. If you think this was useful, or it might be useful for some other people, if this might be useful for some other people, please share it, like it, comment it, spread it, and I will see you again Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Goodbye, guys.